My name's Martin Gilchrist, and I am the practice manager at Gilchrist Co Chartered Accountants. Um, if you've ever seen me do one of these videos before, you'll know that I start every video, every interview, every podcast, every question that I ask when I stand up at a conference, every presentation, talk, whatever it is business related. When I introduce myself, I tell you my name and I tell you what I do. Martin Gilchrist, the practice manager at Gilchrist Co Chartered Accountants. And that's incredibly important. I'm going to tell you why. This is the third of three recordings, interviews, talks that I'm giving in a series. Right at the very start, we're at the first steps of this series that I was encouraged to do by my friend Declan Barry and others, if I'm completely honest, to talk about how Michelle and I, Michelle, my wife, Michelle Gilchrist, the FCA, who's the principal at Gilchrist Co Chartered Accountants, how we managed to grow a successful business, a successful professional practice from scratch. In some ways, our story is unique, but every small business story is unique. And I believe every small business owner, if they had the time and the inclination, could give us advice, tips, mentoring, support, and information that would help all our businesses. And that's what this party is. This is what this series of recordings and YouTube videos and LinkedIn videos is going to be all about me trying just to share the story of what we did, not put myself forward as any sort of a business expert or guru, but just tell the story. And hopefully in that story, there'll be some useful information that other people who are either just starting out or they're already in business can use for their own benefit. And today I'm talking about that thing. Who are you? Martin Gilchrist, practice manager at Gilchrist Co Chartered Accountants. When Michelle and I decided that we wanted to have our own business, we were both already in very successful corporate careers and other practices. We didn't need to start our own business. We were well paid. We're doing jobs that we enjoyed. But we knew, we just had a gut feeling that that wasn't where we were going to end up. We weren't going to be employees with bosses for the rest of our lives, with other people making decisions that would decide where we worked and how we worked and when we worked and who we worked with. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You need those team institutions for the world to go around, but it wasn't going to be the right thing for us. So before we even discussed what business we were going to start, before we got into the meat of that, and that will follow how we decided what Gilchrist Co was going to be. This practice could have been anything. It could have been an R&D specialist practice. It could have been a tax practice. It could have been any number of things. But before we even got into the meat of that, what we decided to do was to talk about what we wanted. We decided to look at ourselves and work out what type of people we were before we were deciding what type of business we had. And part of the reason behind that is the old cliche or example that the sharks can't climb trees. A shark cannot climb a tree, or a fish cannot climb a tree. In their own natural environment, doing what they're good at, they're brilliant. Probably one of the most successful species on Earth. But drag a shark out onto dry land, no matter what you're going to do, it's not going to climb a tree. And we didn't want to be sharks climbing trees. That was the first thing. So we had to look at ourselves, and there's a number of tools that you could potentially use to. I'm actually going to read. Why not? Let's not pretend I know all this stuff off the top of my head. A couple of tools that we could have used to look at this. So we could have used the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. We could have used a DISC assessment. We could have used a Big Five or factor model, or we could have used a strength finder. And you can go in and look up all those things yourself, and they are useful tools. But that's not what we did. There's an emotional intelligence test that you could have used as well. That's not what we did. What Michelle and I did was we sat down, and over a period of weeks, we had an honest conversation with ourselves, between ourselves, about what this was all going to be about. Why were we going to start a business? Why were we going to step out of successful careers where we were very secure when we had mortgages, big mortgages at the time, financial liabilities. We had a young family that required our support. We had all these costs hanging over our heads and a secure and good income, and we were going to give all that up. We needed to be certain why. Um, People think, well, business must be money. But when we thought about it, it turned out that it wasn't just about money. Yes, obviously everybody wants to be a little bit wealthier and more comfortable, and certainly Gilchrist Co has provided us with that. But it wasn't about money, because one of the tools tests I asked myself was, if I had more money, what would I buy? I could have gone out and bought myself a Range Rover or a Porsche or one of those fancy cars. But what would that actually be like when you had it in the garage? Would you take it out and drive it? Would you park it in the car park? What if you'd come back and somebody had keyed your lovely Porsche? I've heard of that happening in the past. Would that have made me feel any better? And I decided, actually, yeah, although money was a factor, that wasn't the burning factor. There were two things that when Michelle and I were discussing that I came up that I wanted. The first one was the freedom of self-determination. I always believed that I wanted to be my own master, and for me to be able to decide what I did, when I did it, how I did it, who I did it with. Now, you never have that completely. There's no such thing as complete freedom, but certainly when you're self-employed, you have a lot larger opportunity to do your own thing your own way and succeed or fail on the basis of that. And that was incredibly important to me. It's part of my, it was important to my own personal self-esteem and dignity and self-respect and all that type of stuff, that I was the master of my own destiny. But even more important than that, and the second thing that came up in the conversation, was my passion for small business entrepreneurship. Those people that I work with every day now, with 300 clients, they're all small business entrepreneurs who, through their own intelligence, determination, creativity, um, persistence, passion, and whatever it is, whatever those words are, you think you need to be an entrepreneur, create something very often from absolutely nothing, except for an idea. So they come up with an idea for a business that they can believe working, and they make it happen through hell or high water. And they do it. People sometimes think that business people are hard-nosed and selfish and all that type of stuff. That's not the experience of the people that I meet. The experience of the people I meet in big business are, they're decent, they're hardworking, they're committed, they're driven, they're considerate. They know how hard business can be, and they show respect to others in business. They pay their bills on time, and they live up to their obligations, and they turn up when they're supposed to turn up and all that. Not everybody's perfect all of the time, but most people I know in small business want to do that. They take responsibility for themselves. They don't pass the buck up or down, because they can't. The business is theirs, and they're ultimately responsible for what they do. And very often when they have staff, they pay them. Well, they do. They pay their staff before they pay themselves. These are the type of people that I respect. These are the type of people that motivate and inspire me. These are the type of people that I believe are driving forward the economy and supporting the communities and enabling us to have all the good things that we have in this part of the world. And that was why I started business. That's why we started Gilchrist Co. That was my reason for starting Gilchrist Co. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. I hope that's been some way helpful. But if you are thinking about, if you're not in business yet, or maybe even if you are in business, it's something that you should keep coming back to. Who are you? What are you doing? And is it working for you? Is it what you want? And if you're going to start a business, will it work for you? Will you want that Porsche or Ferrari, or will you be doing it for another reason? Because it's that reason and understanding who you are will enable you to hang in there during the tough times and the dark times when it gets very lonely and business can be very lonely. Okay, that's enough for now. Talk to you later, folks. Bye.